Chapter 9 Stranded in a Land of Giants. On the 20th of June, 1702, I set sail on the Adventure, heading south around Europe and down the coast of Africa toward the Cape of Good Hope. We stopped there to take on fresh water, but discovered a leak in the ship. Repairs took many months and continued into the winter, so we couldn't resume our voyage until March of 1703. As we turned the Cape and headed north, past the island of Madagascar and toward the Arabian Sea, we ran into 20 days of violent winds. Weeks of calm weather followed, but the captain knew the weather in these seas and warned us to be ready for an even more violent storm, a monsoon. It hit us the very next day. We immediately took down the sails and fastened down all the guns on deck. Days upon days of strong winds blew us off course. I thought we were being blown east, and even the most experienced men on board couldn't tell what part of the world we were in. The ship was sturdy, and the crew in good health, but we were badly in need of water. On June 16th, a seaman on the topmast spied land, and the following day a huge island loomed before us. We headed towards a small cove, but had to drop anchor outside it because the water was filled with dangerous, sharp-pointed rocks. 12 of us went ashore in a longboat to search for a river or a spring where we could get drinking water. We separated on shore and went off in different directions. After an hour of trudging over rocky, barren land and finding no water and no inhabitants, I started back towards the longboat. Reaching a hill above the cove, I was shocked to see the 11 other crewmen already in the boat, rowing for their lives towards the ship. "Wait! Wait for me!" I shouted, but they paid no attention to me. The next moment I saw the reason why. A huge creature, 60 feet tall, was walking after them into the sea, walking almost as fast as they were rowing. He was taking long steps in water up to his knees, but the sharp-pointed rocks prevented him from overtaking the longboat. "Good grief!" I cried as I turned and ran. My only thought was to escape. I kept running until I found a steep hill, from which I could get a better view of the island I was on. As I looked around, I saw that the land was cultivated with fields of hay and corn, but with stalks that were growing from 20 to 40 feet tall. I set off on a path through a field of corn that towered 40 feet over my head. When I came to the end of the field, I found it fenced in with hedges over 100 feet high, and trees so tall that I couldn't even judge how high up they went. A stone stile led from one field to the next, with 4 steps to reach the top. I couldn't climb this stile because each step was 6 feet high. I was trying to find an opening in the hedge when I discovered another giant of the same size as the one who was chasing the longboat. Terrified, I hid myself in the corn, as sounds seemed to come from the giant, but they were so loud and so high up that they seemed more like thunder than words. Within moments 7 more giants came towards him, each carrying a reaping hook. They immediately began cutting down the stalks of corn all around me. I began to run blindly, looking desperately for some place to hide. Some place where I wouldn't be squashed to death under a giant's foot or cut in two with his reaping hook. Finally, I jumped into a trench between 2 ridges of dirt and tried to hide under some stalks that were already cut down and laying there. Frightened and grief-stricken, I whispered goodbye prayers to my wife and family. I asked their forgiveness for having been so foolish as to have gone off on this voyage against their wishes and against the advice of my friends and relations.